So hi, welcome all. Yeah, Dina has given you a good rundown of where we're at. So we're now into the first session. I don't even have my list anymore. Sorry, it's a bit early for me. But in this, we're really examining the historical background, I think, to where we're at with post-mortem privacy and the treatment of, you could say, the digital remains of the dead, you could say the assets of the dead, you could say the privacy or the personality or the property, right? All of which are phrases that get thrown into this maelstrom. So I have a few notes prepared from having watched all the videos, from which I'm very grateful. And I do hope that people have had a chance to watch the videos. I bet some people haven't, which is quite understandable, but they are pretty short and very intriguing. So I think the very first order of the day. Oh, right. Yes, someone should keep an eye on the waiting room, says Chris Millard. And I think that is a good idea. Perhaps it could be someone who isn't me. I think the very first order of the day is probably to go around everybody and really briefly say who we are, because we're going to call on you or invite you to call on yourself, as it were, in more detail as we proceed. But I think since this is the first session, can we have just 30 seconds really of who you are, maybe what discipline you come from and why you're interested in this area. Okay, so I mean, I can start. I'm Lillian Edwards. I'm a professor of IT law, basically of internet law, have been for a ridiculously long time. And at one point I got fed up with people asking me at parties, what happens to my Facebook profile when I die? So I wrote an article about it, and then recruited Edina to talk about that. So we've been talking about, predominantly for me, the legal issues around what happens to the succession to digital assets on your death. Whereas I think it'd be fair to say Edina can go on perhaps to say that hers has moved more into a concentration on many aspects, legal, social, philosophical, of postmortem privacy. So do you want to go, Edina?
Yes, and again, apologies to Chris and Dave for waiting in the host. I was giving the introduction. I wasn't looking at, I'm the only host, sorry. So Edina Harbinian from Aston University, Lillian's ex-PhD student, and I've been working in this area for almost 10 years now, and it sounds scary. The time is just passing. So my interest is in, as Lillian said, moved from this normative sort of black letter and doctrinal approach into a more theoretical, normative and critical approach to this area. And I've built on the work and cited all of you, probably, if not the majority of you here in my work. And I'm really happy that we're able to meet and discuss today.
Okay, sorry, I've now found the list of people, because you can never see people in the same order on Zoom. I always say it's like Schrodinger. You can either know who's there or where they are, but you can't know both at the same time. So Jonathan Brown.
Hi, everyone. I'm a lecturer in Scots private law at the University of Strathclyde. Was interested in what happens really to the body after people die as a matter of law. And from that have become interested in all things death related, because I'm just that sort of cheery person, really. So nice to meet you all.
Who's next? Lucien Castex.
Hello everyone, Lucien Castex. So I'm a researcher at Sorbonne Nouvelle University. I'm working mainly on private law, obviously from the French system and the European system. I'm interested basically in privacy law and in internet governance. I'm also a member of a couple other institutions, including the French Human Rights Commission. So I have a strong human rights approach also to the question. And I'm participating in a number of international and UN projects as well. Thank you.
Cool. It's good to see you, Lucien. Okay, Heather Conway.
That is me. I'm the only person Thank you for doing the introduction. To save me typing in the chat bar that my computer seems to register me as a number as opposed to an individual.
It's your digital ID.
Yeah, it's my digital ID. I'm Professor of Property Law and Death Studies at Queen's University in Belfast. I focus a lot on the law surrounding the treatment of the dead, and in particular family funeral disputes, which always brings up that tussle between the rights of the family and the rights of the dead persons as they exist. I also am interested in aspects of succession law, which of course brings in the whole theory around digital assets. And I've co-authored a piece with that with a former colleague of mine, and the perennial issues surrounding that. We have also just adopted a rescue dog, so I'm going to apologize in advance if he decides to bounce all over the screen and distract me. And I'm just delighted to be part of the event this morning and today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a kitten who occasionally appears, but not maybe as noisy. Felicity, do we have Felicity McMahon?
Yep, I'm here. Hello, everyone. I'm Felicity McMahon. I'm a barrister practicing in London in media law. So in particular, matters such as privacy, data protection and defamation. On the whole, my clients are still alive, but occasionally I do have to deal with issues relating to loved ones of clients who have passed away. In particular, I was the barrister in the case of Rachel Thompson, who got an order against Apple for access to her deceased husband's iCloud and the family photos in there. And that raised a number of issues for me relating to the dead, which is how I got interested in particular in this aspect of privacy and data protection law, as opposed to those relating to the living, although I am interested in both sides.
It's nice to know we're still even vaguely interested in the living. Okay, so Dave Michaels. Is that pronounced right?
Yeah, that's right, Lillian. Hi, my name is Dave Michaels. I work with Professor Christopher Millard and Dimitri Camarino, who are also on the call at Queen Mary University of London. Our research focuses mainly on cloud computing services. And so we look at the digital assets you stored in the cloud and what happens if you pass away, whether your relatives can access them. So the Rachel Thompson case was one that we followed with great interest, and we were actually really glad to see that there was a court order issued in that case, so that I think it was the widow could access the pictures in the cloud. So that's a case we followed with great interest.
Definitely. Which takes us on to the self-named Christopher Millard.
Good morning, everybody. Great to see some old friends. Sorry, no offense meant, Lillian, but friends. And,
very old today.
To meet lots of new people. So I won't bore, I'll try not to bore those of you who already know me, but I've been working in the field of what's used to be called computer law, is now called technology and information law, since 1982. So that's nearly 40 years. Before that, I dabbled in criminology, and I absolutely loved the interdisciplinary nature of that subject, studying sociology, psychology, history, statistics, ethics. I worked for the Canadian federal government on prediction of dangerousness long before people were talking about using algorithms to do that, and so on. But I didn't get past the master's level in criminology because I really wanted to get another scholarship so I could stay on to do another master's degree in law so that I could carry on playing keyboards in a student rock band in Toronto. And that's really how I stumbled on technology law, and I've been doing it ever since. As for this specific topic today, I've been looking at post-mortem digital assets since 2015, and very grateful to my colleagues Dave and Dimitra, who are here today, for helping me get past speaking at conferences about vague concepts without any supporting evidence to actually producing some papers on it. So we're here as a team, and we all have slightly different interests in this topic. But I suppose, although you'd expect me to be interested in privacy because it's in my job title, there is another thing in my job title. I'm Professor of Privacy and Information Law. And because so much wonderful work has been done already and had already been done when we stepped into this field by the likes of Adina and Lillian, we saw that as a well-trodden path, and we focus more on potential balancing issues with conflicting interests, particularly under contract law, property law. But I'm also interested in the wider societal issues to do with digital cultural heritage and the interests of historians in having access to information about people who might not have been famous when they were alive or might not have known they were going to be famous. And I just as with the infamous right to be forgotten, I'm very concerned when we start censoring records for some particular interest of a living or dead person without taking into account the much broader societal interests in preserving history. Sorry, that was a lot. Thanks.
No, that's great. I wonder, having had Dave and you, if we should actually just skip the direction and ask Dimitra. Is she here? Yeah, Dimitra, do you want to just add yourself on because you're part of their team?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. Nice to meet you. My name is Dimitra Camarino. I'm a researcher at the Cloud Legal Project. I work with Dave and Christopher, as you heard. I'm also interested, I mean, we've done a lot of research on the contractual aspect, but my background is in human rights law as well. So I'm quite interested, and it was great to see in the videos discussions about the dignity and memory, and I look forward to hearing more about that today. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Going back to my previous list, I believe Gary Rycroft is not here, couldn't make it, is that right? So that's a shame. And then we have the inestimable Professor Burkhard Schaefer. Let's see you introduce yourself in 30 seconds.
Hello, that's me. Yes, I'm at the School of Law, professor for computational legal theory. Long time ago, I did logic, philosophy, theory of science, then moved 1996 to Edinburgh, became colleague of Lillian's, and have been working on technology regulation ever since. And one of the things that interest me on this topic is that we build infrastructures that will automatically carry on what we wanted to do when we were alive. And my interest is how the law can deal with them, from AI as a full-fledged representative after death to simple things like a direct debit continuing to do things even though the owner is already deceased.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, I think we should briefly maybe ask the audience, because this is really a very artificial distinction between the speakers and the audience in this, because we're trying to get everyone involved. That's why we asked you to make videos in advance. So I have down as attending, we have Tal Morse, who is Michael Bernhardt's colleague. Tal, would you like to introduce yourself? Are you here?
Hi.
Sorry, you've got a little bit of an echo there.
Can you hear me well?
Wow. You sound like a superhero. No?
Submarine
Okay.
cable, I'm not sure which.
All right, maybe come back, yeah? What about Donatella Della Rata? Fantastic name. Who's someone I don't know, so maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello, sorry, but my video is switched off because the connection is not ideal. Yeah, my name is very Italian, and yeah, I'm connecting from Rome. I am an associate professor of media studies and communication at John Cabot University, and I am a media ethnographer as a background. And my research now is focusing very much on issues like how the pandemic has been changing our behaviors and stuff. And I stumbled upon the work of Idina, Tamara, Agnese, who's going to join later. And then I watched your videos, and this is absolutely exciting for me to be here. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here as a participant.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. And then I have down Theodora Karatsas, possibly mispronounced.
She's not no longer coming. She just informed me. Yes.
Okay, right. Well, then I still see lots of people. Maybe the home team should very briefly introduce themselves. So that's Remy, Holly, Marisa, and Uta, who I see. Looks like Uta's sitting outside. I'm jealous. It's freezing here. So maybe you could introduce yourselves in that order. Remy, Holly, Marisa, Uta. So Remy.
Hi guys. My name is Remy Nwabweze. I'm an associate professor of law at the University of Southampton. My research interest is in the area of dead body and body parts, and I have been doing it for an odd number of years. So very glad to see all of you, and I look forward to a lively discussion.
Yeah, I think maybe I should have said by the home team. I think maybe Adina explained, I was looking things up, that this MLR seminar is obviously separately funded and sponsored by the MLR, by the Modern Law Review, but it also intersects with this larger project that is being led from Aston with Adina, and then Southampton with Remy and Uta, and then myself at Newcastle. And we have these two wonderful RAs where we're looking quite broadly into issues around post-mortem privacy and post-mortem aspects, you know, dignity, memory, all kinds of things, yeah? So we'll maybe talk a little bit more about that later. So maybe we could introduce, Uta actually be the most sensible person to say next, wouldn't it? Because Uta's at Southampton with Remy. So Uta, and of course you're a very long-standing, renowned academic as well.
Thanks, Lillian. Yes, my name is Uta Kohl. I work at Southampton University Law School, and I've been looking at internet governance issues for quite a while now. I'm quite new to privacy, so I feel slightly sort of on shaky grounds in this area, but I'm sure I will learn loads in this session. Thank you.
Being very modest. I think your work on memory for this is really interesting. And our two RAs, would you like to say what you're why you're here, what you're contributing to the project? So that's Holly, then Marisa, I guess.
So hi everyone, pleased to meet you. So yeah, I'm working as a research fellow at Southampton Law School on the Leave at Home project. My PhD was in privacy law and particularly focusing on the impact of images and photographs. So I'm kind of coming from that perspective and bringing those experiences to this project now.
And Marisa?
Hi everyone, very excited to be here with you all. I am working at Aston University on working with in the kind of qualitative and quantitative area, collecting empirical data very much on this topic about technical and all the societal challenges that come with the privacy of the dead. My PhD is on something slightly out there, a little bit different from the topic at hand, which is looking at human rights and business and human rights. So I guess you could say that my interests are very broadly on how human rights interact with corporations, with private entities, and that's the kind of perspective that I'm bringing to the team. It's great to see you all today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as a footnote to the land of the living, Edina and I hired Marisa while I was in Italy, and I think she was in Bosnia, and then it turned out that Marisa actually lived around the corner from me in Edinburgh. So we've actually managed to meet in the non-virtual, so that was a plus, because I still prefer the non-virtual. So that's the home team. Right now I'm seeing lots of other people who've come in, which is terrific, because that's what we were really hoping, that people could find time in their no doubt appalling schedules to also kibitz in different sessions. So I'm just going to call, if that's okay, on the order I see on your screen, which will not be the order you see. And the first person I see who hasn't spoken yet is Barbara Prensak. How do you, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
That was correct. Thank you so much, Lillian. And thank you, Edina, for having me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a political scientist by training. I was based at King's College London for a long time, which is how I know some of you. I relocated up following the referendum in 2017 to Vienna, where I now lead the Department of Political Science and also a platform that looks at the governance of digital practices. So we call it practices rather than data, because we want to also look at how data are curated and come into being as well. I have not worked on post-mortem questions as such, but why I'm excited to be part of this is that our approach that we have called solidarity-based data governance is actually looking at what happens if we consider data subject as porous, both in a relational way to other environments, human, natural, social environments, but also in the temporal dimension. So what happens if we think about subjects in that way?
Yeah, the video was really interesting. Thanks. So I see Mustafa Sened. Can you maybe just briefly introduce yourself?
Of course. Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm a rookie in the field, writing my PhD thesis right now, and benefiting from most of your work. So again, thank you very much. It's a brilliant opportunity. Thank you very much.
Sharon Polsky.
I have been working in privacy since, well, about 1990 and 10 years in law before that. I'm not a lawyer, but I am a member of the Bar Association here in this province in Canada, where it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So good morning to you all.
Apologies.
No, this was my choice. I've also been on the board of the Civil Liberties Association for many years, and I'm working to develop the national standard for practice determine what the standards for practice are for competency of data protection professionals, and have worked on other standards and certification programs for privacy, and find that it is not lineal, and there's an awful lot that ties in that's under the umbrella of privacy that really isn't, and it's not well understood. So the whole area of privacy of the dead, yes, it's mentioned in our law, but nobody discusses it. So I'm quite interested to learn from you all, and thank you.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. Right. Then we've got a couple of people who are leading subsequent sessions and have dropped in, which is really nice. So that's Maggie Savin-Badin and then Elaine Casket, maybe. So Maggie?
Just unmuting. Can you hear okay?
Yeah.
We have builders in. I'm a bit of an interloper because I've only started in this area since 2017. I'm really a professor of higher education research, so I study learning, and I work with the Ministry of Defence on developing artificial intelligent beings as such for learning purposes in the MOD. So I met Elaine and various others a few years ago at a fabulous conference in Hull. And I'm very interested in the spiritual realm. So that's probably the USP that I maybe bring to this conference, because I know nothing about law.
I know nothing about spirituals, so that's great. Elaine, also bringing very different perspectives, I think, usefully.
Hello, hi. Nice to be here. As you say, I'm leading some stuff later on. And I'm Elaine Casket. I'm a psychologist by training, and I am a professor of psychology at the University of Wolverhampton. And I wrote a book called All the Ghosts in the Machine, The Digital Afterlife of Your Personal Data, which kind of summed up my kind of collected thoughts at that time in 2019 when it was published, or 2018 when it was finished. And I've looked at that the kind of whole area of death in the digital from a multitude of perspectives. And although I'm not a lawyer, I'd like to think that, partly because of my very helpful discussions with all of you over many, many years now, I've got a pretty good grasp of the general state of play. And I'm really looking forward to participating in some of the sessions later, and to just, gathering wisdom in this session. So thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks for coming. It's good to see you. Yeah, and then I see two more people who I also know have put videos into later sessions. So maybe Carl Ullman.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm part of one of the subsequent sections. I completed my PhD at the University of Oxford a couple of months back, and now I'm a lecturer at the University of Uppsala in Sweden. And my work is mainly on the kind of macro societal level. So not just what's the right of an individual after death and what happens to their data, but rather what happens to a generation after their death, and what obligations do we have both to previous generations and to future generations as a society when it comes to data preservation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Patrick Stokes.
Hello, lovely to be with you all. I'm Patrick Stokes. I'm in the philosophy department at Deakin University here in Melbourne. Having a long-standing interest in the philosophy of death, I found myself working on the topic of digital death and the sort of from a sort of ethical and ontological perspective about 10 years ago now, actually, when I was at the University of Hertfordshire, and have somehow not managed to stop in the intervening 10 years. So delighted to be here today. Thanks.
What time is it there?
It's not too bad. It's just gone 7 p.m. here.
Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. Yeah, I think that is everyone I can see. Tal, do you think you got your stuff worked out? Do you want to just say hi? No?
Hi, my name is Tal Morse. I come from Media and Communications and Death Studies. I teach at Hadassah College in Jerusalem, and I work with Michael Birnhack on accessing digital remains, the legal and social aspects of the way we engage in posthumous personal information.
Where is Michael? Well, there you are. Right. Okay. And I see one more person. I'm sorry. Amalia Flenga. Would you like to briefly say who you are, where you are?
Hello, everyone. I am Amalia. I am a master's student in Law and Digital Technology in Leiden University. I have been conducting research about postmortem privacy for like less than 3 months as part of my master's thesis. So I am very happy to attend and learn from you all. Thank you.
Cool. The next generation, right?